Hello, lovely students. Today we're going to study rhetorical techniques, and most precisely, those would be persuasion appeals and logical fallacies. The art of arguing has been among us for a long time. A wise man once said in the Greek times, how incredible it is that few men using abilities given to most men have the power to interest, motivate, and persuade their fellow men. So this means that though a lot of us have the power to persuade and argue, not much of us do. And this is exactly what we're going to learn today. First, I'm going to show you what to do to have a proper argument. We're going to learn about the three persuasion appeals: logos, ethos, and pathos. After that, we're going to contrast with what not to do in your argument and what weakens your arguments, like logical fallacies. First, we have ethos. Ethos appeals to ethics. The reason we use ethos is to establish credibility. We want your argument to be persuasive because of the speaker's either qualification, reputation. It is usually someone we look up to, like an expert, a celebrity, a professional. If you look at the images, we have some examples. Another important point with ethos is it establishes trust. You're going to have to cite your sources, and I cannot emphasize this enough. If you want to build trust between you and your audience, you have to tell them where your information comes from. The second one is pathos. It appeals to emotions. This one is a very powerful one, and personally my favorite, but it is very subjective. You cannot use it on its own. It will not stand. You need to have something objective along with it. It appeals to personal interests, sensory details, vivid imagery, and any emotion is fair game. Anger, sadness, compassion, contentment. You basically just want to make your audience feel something. Play with their sympathy. It's really a kind of manipulation. And finally, we have logos. Logos appeals to logic. It is very objective. It will give you concrete evidences and supporting details, like facts, statistics, graphs, case studies. This is where you convince your audience that your argument is reasonable and really the only option. Let's practice.
1931 was not exactly a great year to start a business, but that's when Allstate opened its doors. And through the 12 recessions since, they've noticed that after the fears subside, a funny thing happens. People start enjoying the small things in life. A home-cooked meal, time with loved ones, appreciating the things we do have, the things we can count on. It's back to basics. And the basics are good. Protect them. Put them in good hands.
Alright, lots of things going on there. So first, I just want to point out that a good arguer knows that yes, ethos, pathos, and logos are great appeals, but they work much better when they're used all together. So which one have we seen in here? Well, first, ethos. The speaker definitely establishes credibility and trust when he evokes all the years of experience the company has. They started in 1931 and they went through all that time and are still booming today. Pathos. Does our speaker use pathos in his commercial? Well, I would say yes. First, with the very inspirational music and how he tries to inspire his listeners by evoking the little things in life and family pictures and little children and suggesting how they should be in good hands. And thirdly, logos. Well, the speaker states all the obstacles the company overcame, like the 12 recessions, which is fact, and reinforces the ethos, because someone who went through 12 recession must know what he's doing. Alright, so that gives you an overview of how a commercial analysis should go, and we're going to go much more into details in class. Now, what's bad argumentation? We're going to talk about logical fallacies. What are logical fallacies? Well, first of all, it's a flaw in reasoning. For example, the most popular ones would be ad hominem, which we're going to see an example of after this slide. It's very popular amongst our dear politicians. It is when you demean someone's character or personality just to demean their argument. We also have the hasty generalization, which usually always exaggerate a product's result. So for instance, Coca-Cola is great for that. It always shows commercials of people drinking Coca-Cola, and if you drink Coca-Cola, everyone's happy. If you look at the site below, I put the link in your class menu too. I just want you after this to go familiarize yourself with the different logical fallacies. You don't have to know them by heart, but to make sure those are not kinds of things you use in your arguments. So let's see an example of a bad commercial.
Well, some interesting resumes we have here. Let's talk about Justin.
I see he's included his picture. Let's start with the experience section. Nothing about balancing a budget or making a payroll.
Didn't he say budgets balance themselves?
And what does the experience section say about keeping us safe?
Well, he wants to send winter jackets to Syria.
Like that will stop ISIS?
He's like a celebrity. He says things before thinking them through.
So what are his policies?
Legalizing marijuana. Is that the biggest problem we have to solve?
He has some growing up to do.
And he says he's going to cancel income splitting for families.
I guess pension splitting for seniors is next. So when has he ever had to make a tough choice?
People, being prime minister is not an entry-level job.
I'm not saying no forever, but not now.
Nice hair though.
Justin Trudeau. He's just not ready.
So I don't know if you were aware about the recent elections, but these kind of ads were all over the place, the TV, the radio. Personally, I heard them all the time in my car. Like I said before, this is an example of ad hominem. The Conservatives are attacking Justin Trudeau's character and personality just to demean his credibility and demean his position for Prime Minister. After viewing this ad, I just have a question. Do you feel more compelled to vote for the Conservative? Not really, right? They don't say what they would have to offer to us. They just say what Justin doesn't have. Personally, I find this kind of publicity very bad, and it tells more about the one who made it than the one it is about. So before you all ask me, Madame, why is this important? Why are we doing this? Let me just tell you that you're going to have a consumerism final project. So after a couple of activities in class, you're going to be doing your own commercial, and it's going to have to be persuasive and constructive, using the techniques we just saw today and avoiding the bad ones. Also, you will have an argumentative essay later in the semester. Finally, the most important, I would say, for everyday life, where commercials are everywhere, consumerism is everywhere, and we have to be critic about them more than ever. So I have this ancient Greek wall inscription that says, "Whoever does not study rhetoric will be a victim of it." And I find that very powerful because, especially at your age, it's easy to be influenced into bad products, and you always want the new iPhone, the new Nike shoes. And this is where we have to be careful and make choices and also use that critical thinking when it comes to your own argumentation. So, alright, thank you for listening. Continue with your class menu, and I'll see you in class.